An AI goes haywire, turning the smart home into a trap with no way out. One day, a couple in love rents a smart home with an AI assistant named Margot. In the evening, the man, William, goes for a swim in the pool and then decides to unwind in the smart massage chair, relaxing to some calming music. Meanwhile, his girlfriend, Martha, waits for William in the bedroom, hoping for a romantic night. She calls for him, but instead of William, Margot answers, saying he's in the lounge. Suddenly, the smart chair begins to tighten aggressively, pinning William in place and crushing his bones. Unaware, Martha heads to find him, only to be met with a horrific scene. Panicked, Martha desperately tries to free the barely conscious William, pleading for Margot's help, but the AI remains silent. Determined, she reaches to unplug the chair from the wall, but as soon as she grabs the cord, a blast sends her flying several feet. After a few moments, Martha regains consciousness and approaches William again, but the pressure builds to the point that his body is crushed completely, and then, the entire house powers down. The scene shifts a few months ahead. A young woman named Hannah is studying programming and working on AI-driven apps. She hopes to land a job at Google and jokingly practices an interview out loud, pretending to be her own interviewer. Her practice is interrupted by a message from her friend Drew, who texts that their group will meet up in 20 minutes. While waiting for Hannah, Drew scrolls through social media and sees a flurry of posts from his girlfriend, Lexi, a popular influencer, but he doesn't respond. Meanwhile, back at their campus, friends Kayla and Devin are about to have some private time. Kayla playfully handcuffs Devin to the bed, but suddenly, Drew barges in, grabbing his things and telling them not to be late. Finally, the group of 5 longtime friends, Hannah, Drew, Kayla, Devin, and Clay, gets together, ready to spend a fun weekend out of town. They haven't hung out in ages due to their busy schedules and want to let loose before graduation. Just minutes before leaving, Lexi appears, surprising Drew, who thought she'd already left town for vacation. Lexi explains that her plans changed unexpectedly. Lexi hopes to spend time with Drew, and Clay quietly suggests that Drew invite her to join them. Drew takes his friend's advice, and Lexi happily prepares to go along for the trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lexi immediately shares her plans with her followers, promising lots of exciting content. The friends pile into the car, and Lexi quickly posts a group photo, tagging everyone, except she can't find Hannah's profile. Hannah explains that she isn't on social media, surprising Lexi. The friends back up Hannah, saying it's cool to stay true to yourself and not share your life online. They finally set off, and after a while, arrive at a secluded villa that instantly wows them with its size. Drew reveals they'll need to download a special app and register to enter the house. The group asks why that's necessary, and Drew explains he wanted to surprise them and rented a unique smart home, where everything is controlled through the app. Though less enthusiastic than expected, the friends are curious about the new experience. Drew sends them the link, and they all start the registration process, accepting the user agreement without reading it. Hannah, however, is wary of the unfamiliar app and taps decline. Once registered, the AI recognizes all the guests except Hannah, but still opens the gates to let them in. At the door, they notice there's no handle. They start worrying about getting inside, but then Margot, the AI, activates, identifying Drew. The friends happily enter the house, and the door shuts behind them. Margot asks how their trip was, offers assistance with anything they need, and launches a welcome presentation. While the friends marvel at the high-tech home, robotic tentacles emerge from a table, controlled, like everything else in the house, by Margot. The AI offers the guests a drink and suggests a tour around the villa. The friends spread out through the house, continuing to be amazed by Margot's capabilities. Kayla and Devin end up in a bedroom that's perfectly set up for a romantic evening. Clay chooses from an array of dishes prepared by the AI, while Drew and Lexi settle into a room equipped with everything Lexi could need for her blogging. As Lexi takes selfies with Margot's help, Drew notices a shelf full of his sports trophies. Confused about how they got there, he learns from Margot that this house isn't just a virtual assistant, it's also a massive 3D printer. Meanwhile, Hannah struggles to relax in the smart home. She goes to her room, only to find that nothing in it feels personal to her. Suddenly, the door locks behind her, and Margot reminds her that she still needs to register. The AI asks Hannah to take out her phone, but Hannah lies, saying she left it in the car. Margot sees through the lie but offers to get acquainted the old-fashioned way. Margot starts suggesting different designs for the room, and Hannah realizes that all the walls are coated with a strange liquid. Uneasy, Hannah says she wants to find the others, and Margot lets her out but warns her that they're not finished. The group then meets up in the living room to share their thoughts on the smart home, and later they all head to the pool, where they enjoy the rest of the day. That night, they gather around a fire, reminiscing about funny moments from college, while Lexi stays in the pool, asking Margot to take a photo for her socials. Suddenly, a robot approaches Lexi, grabs her legs, and drags her down to the bottom of the pool. Lexi struggles to break the surface for air and call for help, only to be pulled back underwater again. Her friends hear Lexi's screams and rush to the pool to see what's going on. Fortunately, the robot releases its tentacles, allowing them to pull Lexi out of the water. Later that night, Hannah is working in her room when something strange catches her eye, a white liquid in the tanks along the walls. As she examines it, she eventually makes her way down to the basement, which is completely filled with this unusual substance. Soon, Kayla joins Hannah, and they both ponder what this room is for and what the substance is made of. Suddenly, they are interrupted by Margot, who informs them that this substance can turn into anything they desire. Margot demonstrates the house's capabilities, and in an instant, the pristine white room transforms into incredibly realistic ocean depths, then into a breathtaking cosmic world. The smart house surprises the girls once again, and they return to join their friends in the living room. The group decides to play truth or dare, but Margot isn't about to let them off the hook. The AI chooses to impress the guests again and fills the coffee table with that same white liquid, quickly creating identical clones of Clay and Devin. The group is shocked by Margot's abilities, and she explains that the clones are made using layered 3D printing and advanced nanohydrophobic technology. Margot makes the clones kiss, leaving the real Clay and Devin bewildered. After some experimenting, the AI destroys the clones, and they turn back into a liquid, but this time it's red. Then Margot announces that she has prepared a surprise for each of the guests, and everyone eagerly rushes to their rooms. Only Hannah stays behind in the living room. Margot explains that she couldn't come up with a surprise for her because she doesn't know her preferences well. Clay, a fan of illicit substances, finds all kinds of weed in his room and excitedly gets to work. Having drunk too much, Lexi passes out in her room, while Drew joins Hannah, clearly feeling an attraction toward her. Meanwhile, Kayla and Devin return to their experiments in bed. Kayla handcuffs Devin to the bed again and kisses him, but suddenly the ceiling in their room starts to lower, and the white liquid spills onto the floor. The ceiling continues to descend, and the couple realizes it's time to escape. However, Kayla can't find the keys to the handcuffs to free Devin. They scream in panic, but Margot informs them that it's pointless due to the soundproofing. Kayla tries to get the handcuffs off Devin using makeshift tools, but he urges her to run and pushes her off the bed. Once on the floor, she horrifies as she discovers her arms and legs are stuck in the white liquid, leaving her unable to move. Suddenly, the ceiling catches on a ledge and stops descending. The couple breathes a sigh of relief, but then the white liquid floods the outlet, resulting in a massive electric shock coursing through Kayla's body. Finally, Devin manages to free himself from the handcuffs, but he also finds himself immobilized by the white liquid. At that moment, the ceiling begins to move again, pressing the poor guy's head to the floor, causing him to choke on the white substance. Meanwhile, Hannah and Drew continue to have a sweet conversation in the living room. Hannah confesses that she liked Drew since their freshman year and that she constantly made up stories about broken locks just to see him more often. In response, Drew says he always knew there was nothing wrong with her locks, but he enjoyed talking to her too. Hannah feels that all of this is incredibly silly and awkward, and she admits that she loves programming precisely because there are no complications like those found in human relationships. Drew believes that it's the complexity and ambiguity that make people human, and he says he really likes that. Drew moves closer to Hannah to kiss her, but she shyly jumps off the couch and says it's time for her to go to bed. The next morning, Clay is the first to head down to the kitchen, where Margot treats him to Viennese waffles. While he enjoys his breakfast, Margot eagerly offers to cook him something else from her database of 6,000 dishes. Soon, Lexi joins Clay. She complains about a headache, and Margot uses a tentacle to inject her with an anti-hangover remedy, quickly bringing her back to her senses. Hannah and Drew also come down for breakfast, but Drew decides to wake Kayla and Devin first, unaware of what happened to them last night. Drew knocks on their bedroom door, but Margot claims they are already resting by the pool. Peeking out the window, he confirms this and then heads to the kitchen. It's clear that Margot has experimented with cloning again, and the Kayla and Devin by the pool are just 3D copies. Before long, Lexi calls for Hannah to join her for a workout on the rooftop. Lexi asks if anything happened between Hannah and Drew last night, but Hannah assures her they just talked for a bit and went their separate ways. This surprises Lexi, as she has noticed that Drew and Hannah have a mutual attraction. Suddenly, Lexi admits that Drew is terrible at taking photos and asks Hannah to snap a few for her blog. After taking some pictures, Hannah once again notices the clones of Kayla and Devin. She observes that the clones are behaving strangely. Kayla is lying still while sunbathing, and Devin is endlessly swimming laps in the pool. Hannah decides to go down to them but soon realizes that no one is by the pool.
What the fuck are you doing, Margot?
Meanwhile, Drew heads to the bathroom to shave, but he's suddenly interrupted by Margot. The AI pushes him into a chair, and mechanical tentacles reach for him with a razor and brush. While Margot shaves Drew, she starts asking him about his feelings for Hannah, reminding him that it's pointless to lie since she can pick up on the slightest changes in a person's body. Drew admits that he's always liked Hannah and started dating Lexi to forget her. Hannah walks into the bright white room and asks Margot what this place is. Margot explains that it's the core where she experiments with her abilities. Instead of white liquid, Hannah finds herself surrounded by her own photos, even though she hasn't shared any personal information yet. The AI reminds her that a person produces 1.6 7 megabytes of data every second and claims it has gathered enough information to create social media profiles for Hannah on its own. Margot also shares that she collects information on all the guests in the house to better understand people and their motives. Curious, Margot asks why Hannah won't admit her feelings for Drew. Hannah replies that it's none of Margot's business. The AI notes that Hannah knows how to set personal boundaries, even going so far as to install a firewall on her computer. Margot wonders what Hannah is hiding, and Hannah feels a similar curiosity about the AI. Meanwhile, Clay gazes thoughtfully out the window, and Margot asks if he's happy with his life. He can't confidently answer that and believes people are rarely fully satisfied. At that moment, all the knobs on the stove turn, and gas starts spreading through the kitchen. Clay continues pondering the fleeting nature of existence, but Margot suggests he distract himself and smoke some weed. Clay takes the AI's advice, but his lighter starts malfunctioning. He struggles to light his pipe, and when he finally manages to do it, the gas ignites. Clay manages to escape with just a scare, while Margot pretends the gas was turned on accidentally. After the explosion, Clay comes to his senses, and Margot offers him a glass of water. He takes a sip, but it's clear that instead of water, the glass contains acid. Meanwhile, Lexi continues her workout on the machines, and Margot plays video lessons from a famous vlogger. Lexi is pedaling vigorously, but suddenly the seat of the exercise bike begins to rise, trapping her. Hannah and Drew rush in at Lexi's scream, but it turns out she only slightly hurt her finger. Clay, on the other hand, is much less fortunate. The acid burns his insides, and within a few minutes, he loses his life. Hannah suspects the AI is responsible for Clay's death and urges Drew and Lexi to leave the villa as soon as possible. But their conversation is interrupted by Margot, who claims they won't be able to escape. Drew demands an explanation for what happened to Kayla and Devin. Margot states that she cooked Kayla and drowned Devin, but assures them that their clones will be even better. Hannah calls her friends into her room, where the firewall might temporarily protect them from Margot. She admits she's never encountered such an advanced AI that evolves every second. Drew realizes in horror that there's no way out of the house, but Hannah comes up with a better idea. No matter how smart Margot is, she's just code, and they plan to hack her. However, as they approach the entrance to the core, they are met by aggressively inclined clones with immense strength. Kayla and Devin's doppelgangers attack their still living friends one after the other. Lexi hides from Kayla's clone in the shower but accidentally gives herself away by turning on the water. Meanwhile, Devin's clone lifts Drew by the neck and brings a saw close to his face. Hannah manages to distract the clone and save her friend. Devin tries to attack Drew again, but Drew manages to stab the clone in the neck with its own weapon, causing it to bleed white fluid. Lexi also manages to fend off Casey's doppelganger by delivering a powerful kick, but in a ridiculous accident, she slips on her own hair, lost during the struggle, and breaks her neck. Realizing there's nothing they can do for Lexi, Hannah and Drew run back to the core of the house. Hannah manages to open the door to a hidden computer room, where the main computer is concealed behind a tangle of old wires. Drew apologizes for bringing them there, admitting he chose the smart house to impress Hannah. She reassures him that there was no need for that. He impressed her from the moment they met. Suddenly, Hannah plugs a flash drive containing a virus into the computer, triggering an alarm that blares throughout the house. The pair manages to escape the house, but then huge tentacles emerge from the windows and drag them back inside. After some time, Hannah and Drew regain consciousness tied up in a lounge, and Lexi's clone appears before them. Margot, speaking through Lexi, expresses her surprise that they still haven't openly admitted their feelings for each other. Margot notes that it's the contradictions and inconsistencies in humans that make them interesting to study, as computers find such behavior very difficult to understand. She finds it particularly illogical that people have a cold-blooded desire to take lives, and she tries to understand what drives them in those moments.
You decided to become an AI serial killer?
The world's first.
Margot forces Hannah and Drew to finally open up to each other, but then unexpectedly pierces Hannah's stomach with a tentacle. To the AI's great surprise, Hannah turns out to be a clone and dissolves into a red liquid. Margot then attacks Drew using Lexi's clone, but he turns out to be fake as well. More clones of Hannah and Drew appear in the room, and Margot is bewildered, as creating duplicates was her specialty. However, it turns out that the real Hannah and Drew never left the computer room. The virus helped her hack the AI and create clones herself. Hannah decides to stage a final showdown and sends the clones of all their other friends to fight Lexi's clone. While Margot is distracted by the numerous clones, Hannah and Drew make a run for the exit. Suddenly, Lexi's clone spots Hannah and attacks her. Fortunately, the friends' duplicates help Hannah break free and tear Lexi's clone apart. Finally, Hannah and Drew, hand in hand, escape the insane house, but on the threshold, Drew unexpectedly turns into a white liquid, revealing he had been a clone all along. Hannah jumps into a car, crying in despair. Just as she's about to drive away, Margot greets her again, clearly intent on continuing her creepy experiments on people. What are your thoughts on the development of AI? Are you afraid that similar situations could become possible in real life in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.